There is no way that Blonde Blazer is a villain or a mole or anything like that, and this fan theory really doesn't make any sense. Because despite what everybody is saying, despite all the theories that I've read, her motivation doesn't exist. There is no clear plan as to how she would be backstabbing Robert. First off, let's look at the relationship between Shroud and Mecha Man. Shroud doesn't have an issue with Mecha Man. Mecha Man has an issue with Shroud. Shroud just wants the pulse that powers Mecha Man's suit. He doesn't give a fuck who's under the suit. This is proven by the fact that he doesn't kill Robert. Robert even says as much during the press conference. He says that Shroud doesn't care about him. Shroud cares about the pulse. That's all Shroud cares about. Second, Shroud has been looking for the pulse for decades at this point. He has a bunch of tools within his arsenal. He has an entire team under him that he could use to look for the pulse. How would it benefit Shroud to, instead of looking for the pulse himself, have Robert get recruited by a dispatch agency where he can put together a ragtag team of villains, build them up, and then maybe look for the pulse? That's just, as far as villain grand plans go, that's fucking stupid. That's kind of idiotic. Now, I do think that there's a chance that Blonde Blazer is Shroud's daughter. I mean, they do have the same color hair, same color eyes, and Shroud was on a hero team and then became a villain, whereas Blonde Blazer is obsessed with rehabbing villains into heroes. She's trying to undo the terrors that her father committed. That makes sense. I can see that. It doesn't make her a villain, though. The entire reason that Robert was recruited to SDN was because of Chase, and we now know, spoiler alert after episode 6, if you haven't watched it yet, scroll up, we now know that Chase is not a villain. Chase recruited Robert to SDN out of his own goodwill for a kid that he helped raise. Blonde Blazer would have had to have known about this relationship. She would have had to help down Mecha Man. She would have had to leverage the relationship to actually get him hired at SDN. And she then would have to make sure that the Z team came together as a ragtag band of allies and fell in love with Mecha Man and fell in love with the idea of trying to get Mecha Man up and running again and thus fell in love with the idea of finding the pulse. It doesn't make sense, dude. It really doesn't make sense. I don't think there's a mole. Like I said, if there is a mole, I could see it being the guy who had super hearing. I mean, that's kind of a check-off superpower, right? I could see that. I could see it being Punch Up or Malevola, depending on who you eliminated between Sonar and Coop. But it is not Blonde Blazer, and it's probably not Invisigal either. I just had to put this theory to rest real quick, because it really doesn't make sense when you're taking into account their motivations and the overarching plan. Yeah, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. What do you think about the idea of there being a mole in Z Team? Do you think it's feasible or no? And if there is one, who do you think it is? Let me know down in the comments. Let's talk about it. And just remember, content like mine isn't possible without viewers like you. Thank you.